Hey everybody, guess what today is? It's Ask Airstream Andy. So we're going to lay the groundwork first off, why we maybe picked this particular Airstream. So Andy knows what's going on. He's our Zen master. It's going to lead us through our renovation. Hey,
and
actually,
you'll never make it. You'll never make it then. That's your plan.
That's his plan. He's like this evil Airstream like brain manipulator. But you have a bunch of lawn dart Airstreams at your own house. We've seen.
I do. I actually sold another one Saturday. So that's I sold two this month.
Awesome.
This last one was an 87. It was real similar to mine, my personal one. I didn't do much of the work on this one. I did a little bit.
Can you tell everybody how you got into Airstream refurbishing and how many you've done?
Well, it's hard to say because I didn't really get into it. It kind of found me. My wife decided we needed one, and I knew better than to go against that. So we got one, and
smart guy.
A lady had bought it in 1989. It's a 1986, and she lived in it until 2012, somewhere in there, and ended up moving into with one of her kids, and the trailer just been sitting there. But they'd kept it up. I mean, they'd been living in it, so everything was serviceable. You know, it was definitely not restored. It was not refurbished, but when things broke, they fixed it. And so we got one that was in extremely good shape, original shape. And, you know, it had some issues, had a few leaks here and there. So the floor had some rot. The lines were the old PVB or whatever, the gray water lines. And the minute you touch one of those, they start leaking. So we just went through it, slowly had to replace things. And then we changed some things and started kind of, I wouldn't even say remodeling, but just updating, kind of a resto mod kind of thing. So we have a lot more robust, modern innards in the thing, but it still looks like 1986, which we like. You know, my wife and our kids in the 80s, so we think it's cool. And so then a friend of mine thought, hey, that looks like a lot of fun. We think we want to do that too. And he bought one. And then another friend bought one. Next thing you know, there's about 7 of us. And I live on some property, and so when trailers need work, suddenly, well, I've got the room, kind of like it takes a village kind of thing. And my friends show up with all their crap, and it seems to get out of here faster if I just do the work myself. And so anyway, next thing you know,
hey, guess what? We have a great Airstream for
helping. Yeah, exactly. Will you help me fix this? I'll be back on Friday to get it, kind of thing. So, and not every case, some cases. I shouldn't say that. That makes me sound like, all my friends are jerks. They're not. But at any rate, I've got 2 right now. Probably 7 or 8. I have to think about it. Have been through here. Varying degrees. We've done axles on them. We've done floors. We've done subfloors. We've dropped tanks. I've even done skin repair, cut out skin repair stuff, and used aircraft rivets. I didn't do the old Olympic thing. I did it with standard buck rivets. And I mean, I don't know that there's anything I haven't done on them. I wouldn't say I'm a professional. I'm very much a pragmatist. I like things to be fixed and working. I'm not trying to resell them. I'm not trying to, make money doing it. I just kind of enjoy doing it. It beats being in the bar, I guess. So, and we camp a lot. So we camp a lot, and it sucks having a trailer that doesn't work when you're camping. So, that's really how I got into it. It's not much of a story, but that's it.
So
pretty cool story.
It is. And it kind of like us, I mean, we didn't really stumble into it. I guess we sort of wanted to do it, but we kind of stumbled into the lifestyle slowly by living in this crazy city called Seattle and just wanting some space and quiet.
All right.
So and we decided to get this Airstream, this 92, and it's going to be our house while we build on some land. But I guess, I don't know if that makes a difference in how you refurb it or not. I mean, I guess you want it working condition no matter whether you're just camping or living in it, right? 3 days without air conditioning is just as bad as
right. Vacation or work days, doesn't matter.
I wouldn't know what that's like.
Yeah, Lynn would not know what it's like to live in the desert with no air conditioning as a Marine. But
our ultimate goal is to have some property and build a house on it.
Sure.
and looking at some other people that have done similar things where they've lived in like a travel trailer or something like that while they did work on their property to try to do it as debt free as possible.
Yeah.
That really appealed to me. And, you know, but it was kind of one of those things where I was looking at it and watching it and looking at all the YouTubes and thinking, well, I don't know if Allie will go for this. And then I started talking to her about it and showing her the videos, and she actually was like for it. And I said, okay, wow, well, maybe we should look into it more.
Because it's really easy to want an Airstream when you look at them on Instagram.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. They look just like the one you bought, I'm sure.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it
chandeliers hanging and all that.
Yeah, it happens just as fast.
The thing that really appealed to me with it, though, is when I saw, like, you know, the value added to it that you could have if you take your time and do a good job. And like you said, it doesn't have to be something crazy. But, you know, the other thing that was ideal for me about it is until we're ready to actually pull the trigger on some land somewhere or whatever, this would be a good way for Allie mainly to get her feet wet.
I keep asking when we're going to smash things. We're not smashing anything.
Not smashing
I was
things.
hoping
You unscrew Airstreams. That's the best part. You don't have to break anything. So you can put it back. You can put it back together when you get in over your head.
Yeah, I'm still waiting for the bashing things done.
She's like, she's a little Tasmanian devil.
Yeah.
So that's where we're at with this, and we feel like, you know, with the Airstream that we got a really good deal. There's another video that people can check out to see how that went. But we also, you know, the thing I like about our Airstream is it's newer, but it's also kind of they don't make the 3-axle Airstreams anymore. Right. They don't make them this long. So, you know, that appealed to me as well as me and her and Chaka, our dog, and possibly either, you know, one day maybe another dog or a couple of Bambinos.
Foster dogs from Taiwan or whatever.
Yes.
We just got him a new home. We just got him a new home.
So, you know, just to have a little bit more space, but still have the ability to kind of travel about with it. Yeah. And then the other cool idea is, hey, once we do build our house on our property, it would be nice to, because we do like to camp and travel and things like that. So it's just kind of a, you know, all around general idea. Like it appealed to us. So that's where we're at with this. And, you know, some of the things I knew right off the bat that were possibilities is there's a lot of lurking things that you don't see when you go to look at an Airstream. It's not like somebody who's selling you an Airstream is going to allow you to start ripping up the floor. Sure. You take a look at what may lie beneath.
And like maybe a lot of people, the guy that we bought it from had no clue what life it had.
Airstream.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. He knew what he saw and what they could go for and what the possible value for this thing was, but as far as like really where this thing was at, he didn't know. So some of the things that I concentrated on and looked at was, you know, the banana pans, the belly pan of it, and just there's a few minor dents and dings. It looks like we can pull those out, especially when we take the inner skin out. The one thing I know for sure that we want to do is take a look at the insulation. From what little bit we've seen so far, it looks like it could definitely use to be replaced.
Sure.
And, you know, knowing that it's fiberglass insulation, time on the road, things like that, it tends to like fall, as we talked about before in the video that I screwed up. So we went around the gambit too of like, well, what do we use to insulate? And so we had a lot of different arguments for, well, you could use denim, you could use foil covered denim, you could use fiberglass again, or
fairy wings.
Yeah.
So for us, I think for me, through the research that we did, that spray foam looks like the way to go.
Yeah.
So
it's funny, this spray foam company, which we can put a link to their website on the video description if anyone's interested, but they actually wrote back several times. What is it called? Green?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like green foam.
Spray it green or something like that.
I know what you're talking about.
And they've actually been really responsive, which is cool to talk about, because I really have wanted to, with this whole like process, not just the Airstream but everything else, try to reduce our environmental footprint. And I don't know what goes into houses and stuff that you're breathing for years on end, and you just don't realize it until you drop over dead one day. So it's tough to know like what are the best options for convenience, but also your health, and that's what we settled on.
Yeah. Well, plus the other considerations we had was weight, of course, right? The whole idea behind the design of the Airstream is to make them as lightweight as possible. I think ours stock is 8,000 pounds, and it's got a tongue weight of somewhere between 700 and 800 pounds. So, the more crap you add into it because you think it looks good,
takes away.
You start running into problems, and it's not good for the frame and in the axles and things like that.
They pull like crap when they're heavy. I mean, a heavy trailer pulls bad, especially if you don't have a giant truck.
Yep.
So is that how you have insulated? Spray foam?
No, that's one thing I've never done spray foam on that. I did it in my house. I did an addition on my house and I did spray foam. And I wished I would have done that in my trailer now because I love it. I absolutely love it. I think we talked about it before. I mean, you kind of go to the people that know, and a Yeti cooler, a $400 cooler is foam. They don't have denim in there. If denim worked good, they'd put denim in there because I'm sure denim is cheaper. I assure you that. So I wished I would have. I just have regular insulation, just fiberglass, same stuff you see in your house, honestly. I've replaced some of it, not all of it. I haven't pulled all my skins down. Just when I had a skin that needed to be replaced or changed or whatever, I would fix it there. And again, like you said, I mean, it's one of those things that over time, that stuff's good. I mean, it's coming out on its own. It's sliding down the wall slowly but surely. And it's getting heavy with moisture. It's getting heavy with dust and everything else. So, and the spray foam, you're not going to have any of those problems. It's gonna reduce the sound transfer. It's going to do all kinds of good stuff. So I really wish and I might do that on my 72. We'll see when I get the panels out of that.
As you're pulling stuff out, I've been trying to be very mindful about dimensions, how things are laid out, because it's like, hey, if it worked before, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Like,
right.
There's some value in having some of those dimensions. It'll make your life a little bit easier for when it comes time to do, as you would say, a resto mod, because that's what I think this is going to be for us. But like, I'm looking at, hey, I'll get that gray kind of plastic flexible conduit so that if I later on after running insulation, if I still need to run a wire somewhere or something like that, replace some wiring, we can do it. We're going to primarily try to use basically the 12 volt or 24 volt wiring system because we want to use solar on it.
Sure.
But there will still be ability to have a 110 in there.
Sure.
Again, all the wiring so far from what I've seen, because we've already started some demo, looks pretty good.
Yeah.
So, all that stuff considered, plus if there is any serious issues with the flooring, which, I'm already in my brain housing group have determined that we're probably going to replace majority of the floor, if not all of it, with plywood. I just see that as being better. So sealing it some kind of epoxy or resin and marine grade plywood, just so, because we're only going to do this once.
Right.
So
this is the trailer's last chance, more than likely.
Yep. So that's where we're at with it. So obviously, in order to do that, we're having to do demo, which Allison's a little disappointed we didn't just rip stuff out, like break it apart. But the other thing that, because we did have the option of looking at trailers that were already demoed. But the thing that we're seeing as we're doing this, and something I'd considered, but now actually doing it, you get a better idea of what is going on with the trailer when you take it out yourself.
And you need to know where stuff goes.
You need to know where stuff goes. What was the original intent behind the layout and the plans of the trailer? But then also, too, like, I know how I'm taking it apart. I know how she's taking it apart. Whereas, a couple of the other trailers we looked at, I mean, in a lot of ways, they did more damage than good the way that they ripped stuff out. And so, we fully intend on reusing our internal skins. They look pretty darn good for the most part. I've already got the stuff we need to pull the vinyl off it.
Yep.
So that's one of our next steps as well, is we're going to go check out some new Airstreams to try to get some inspiration and see because obviously in the newer models, they've, it's kind of like software. They find the bugs and figure out new and inventive ways to fix it. So I think we kind of like to entertain some of that stuff. So that's where we're at. We've started with, we got most of the cabinetry on the port or left side of the trailer taken out. And then we started on the starboard side, which is where all the kitchen cabinetry and stuff is. And I had already identified some floor rot towards the nose of the trailer. I'm going to have to try to find some curved C-channel already, because it looked like they had an accident or something, did a repair. From the outside, it looked pretty good. But then once you got inside and actually looked at it, you could see It's not done well at all.
Right.
So already know I'm gonna have to fix that. But then as we started taking the kitchen out, right there by the stove, or the doorway, that's where we started to identify some other rot.
Some other rot. But in order to hear more about it, you're going to have to subscribe to the channel. Watch the next video, which will be on what happens when you find floor rot. So we're going to let Andy go for now, and then we're going to do another video. But we're going to pretend like we're saying goodbye.
Later, Andy.
That was tricky. That is tricky.